Hey, just a quick message before we jump into this episode. If you've ever thought about learning energy healing, but you know you need it in a way that fits with your values and your life, I got you. I get it. Come and check out my SimplyAlign training. It's all with me on Zoom beginning July 16th. You can choose from a 2-day class for personal use or stay all 4 days for the certification track, which also includes a full year of support and lots of other bonuses. It's simple, powerful, and it will rock your world in the best way. And heads up, doors close for registration on Monday, July 14th. You can learn all about it at SimplyAlign.com. You're doing fine, everything's flowing, and then something small throws you off. Not a crisis, not a catastrophe, just a little thing, a random comment, a minor distraction, a moment that shouldn't have mattered, but you let it. We all have those moments. Something small grabs our attention and suddenly we're completely off track from what actually matters. A simple children's story offers surprising wisdom about focus, choice, and protecting what's most important. In this episode, I'm talking about how easy it is to get pulled off track and how to recognize the moment you can choose to come back to your focus. You have episode 31, Small Distractions That Steal Big Focus, here on Catching Sunshine. Hello, sunny friend. I hope you're having a great day. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Have you ever let one tiny little thing completely derail your day? I'm talking about something not huge, a tech glitch, a weird look from someone, maybe even a snarky comment, and somehow it takes up way more space in your head than it should. And the next thing you know, your mood has shifted, your plans are off track, and you're wondering, how did I get here? My day started off so good. Today's episode is inspired by a children's book I used to read to my kids all the time. It was one of our favorites, and it always made us laugh. The book's called Henry's Awful Mistake by Robert Quackenbush. You might know and love it too, but in case you're not familiar with it, here's the story. And sorry, spoiler. Henry the Duck is getting ready to have his friend Clara over for a lovely dinner. He's in the kitchen, prepping the food, and everything is going just fine until he sees an ant. Just one, but Henry decides the ant must go. And from there, it spirals. He starts chasing the ant around the kitchen, and in the process, he knocks things over, breaks things, floods the place, and eventually destroys the entire house. All because of one tiny ant. It's silly, it's exaggerated, and it might just be a little bit like what we do sometimes. I know, it's a storybook duck, but honestly, Henry's little kitchen disaster is surprisingly relatable. You'll see what I mean. When we're on track, in the zone, or looking forward to something, and then a minor annoyance or unexpected distraction shows up, if we're not careful, we can let it pull us completely off course. The thing is, the ant in Henry's kitchen, or ours, can be anything. Sometimes it's a small task that suddenly feels urgent. Sometimes it's something that seems important or even noble, like fixing one more thing, responding to someone right away, or making sure something's perfect. And before you know it, you're not doing what you intended to do. You've drifted off course, even though it didn't feel that way in the moment. And what's tricky is, it doesn't always feel like a distraction. In fact, it usually feels justified in the moment. Henry sees the ant and thinks, well, I can't serve Clara dinner with an ant in the kitchen. I mean, that's legit, right? So he goes after it. And then the ant moves, so he has to chase it. And in chasing it, he knocks something over. So now he has to clean that up. But cleaning that up reveals another problem, which leads to another solution. Then he breaks a pipe, which creates another mess. Before you know it, sweet little Clara is standing at the door of a destroyed house, and Henry has completely lost sight of his original intention, preparing a lovely dinner for his friend. Like I said, this is exaggerated, but does the ant metaphor sound familiar at all? Maybe you've been there. You start organizing your desk so you can be more productive, and 2 hours later you're deep in a drawer sorting paper clips and checking the date on old pennies, while your actual work sits untouched. Or you open your laptop to return a couple emails, But first, you just want to check your Amazon order status, and 30 minutes later, you're still there researching vitamins, vacuum filters, and large print Bibles. Or is that just me? Or you pick up your phone just to check the time, but you see a couple texts sitting there, so you respond, and somehow you end up in a much longer conversation than you expected. My point is, those ants are small, and they're good at sneaking up on you. Sometimes the ant looks like productivity. Sometimes it looks like responsibility. Sometimes it's procrastinating. That deep dive into research that feels so important, but it's actually avoiding the real work. Eek, guilty. It's the perfect example of how our ants can feel virtuous. After all, learning is good. But when it becomes a way to avoid starting or sticking with the actual project, it's just another way to chase the ant around the kitchen. The cost isn't just the time lost, it's the broken commitments to others, like Clara, waiting for dinner, and to ourselves. It's the exhaustion that comes from fighting battles that didn't even need fighting. It's the frustration of ending the day wondering where all your time and energy went when you had such good intentions. Sometimes the ant isn't a physical distraction, but it can be a comment that gets our attention, even if it's neutral. Or often it's our own negative thoughts. Those can be distracting ants as well. In fact, Dr. Daniel Amen, a well-known psychiatrist and brain health expert, coined the term ANTS, A-N-T, short for automatic negative thoughts. He describes them as little mental pests that sneak into your thinking, often without you noticing, and start affecting how you feel, act, and respond. Just like actual ants in your kitchen, if you don't catch them early, they tend to multiply and make a mess. Once I sang in church. It wasn't a solo. I was in a quartet. I sing alto, my hubby sings bass. We had a soprano and a tenor with us, and none of us are professional singers, but I think we sounded okay, maybe even pretty good. And I was just feeling happy that we all hit the right notes and sang the right words in the right places. So with that feeling and with some relief, after the meeting, I was walking up the aisle and a gal I know stepped out of her pew right as I passed by. She's an experienced singer, sings in public from time to time. Of course, I smiled and said hi, and we were walking up the rest of the aisle together at that point, so it would have been kind of awkward for her to not say anything at all. And what she said was, "I love that song." And I remember thinking in my head, ouch, that's an uncompliment. Not, you guys all did a nice job, just, I love that song. Now listen, I promise I haven't been carrying that around for years. I hadn't even thought about it until prepping this episode, but it popped into my head as I was thinking about how even neutral comments can feel negative sometimes. Depending on what meaning we give them, they can turn into little ants. That was an ant in my head for about a day. And then I chose to just give her the benefit of the doubt and assume she thought she was giving a compliment. It wouldn't do me any good to think different. Neutral comments, or even sometimes someone will give you no comment at all, those aren't harmful, but sometimes we can overthink them while we're trying to figure out what it meant. And that's an ant, pulling us into distraction. You know how, and I think we all do this, but you know how you can get 10 positive comments, but we tend to focus on the one negative or weird comment? Yeah, that's what our brains like to do. They zoom in on the ant, and suddenly that's what we see. But once you recognize that, whether it's a seemingly urgent task, a comment, or your own negative self-talk, you can gently steer yourself back before losing momentum on what you want or need to be doing. It's like developing an inner radar, learning to notice when something is starting to pull you off track. And you can ask yourself, is this worth my energy right now? Or, what's most important right now? Or even, is this an ant moment? With a little awareness, we can catch ourselves in that small internal pause before we veer too far. There are always a few seconds. Not chasing the ant is a skill we can keep getting better at, just like Henry did. At the end of the book, he's in a new house, he invites Clara over again, he's preparing dinner, and just as she's at the door, he sees another ant. And the last page says, he looked the other way. No drama, no panic, just a quick, quiet decision. I can let that go. This is more important right now. He'd cultivated the ability to recognize that moment of choice, or those couple seconds of choice. His transformation isn't about becoming someone who doesn't notice ants, because he still saw it. But he's learned to make a different choice. Not today, ant. Think about that. Henry could have spent that dinner party obsessing about the ant, pointing it out to Clara, apologizing for it, letting it distract him from being present with her. Instead, I like to think this second time around he chose to focus on what he'd invited Clara over for in the first place. Connection, conversation, a shared meal. I've had to train myself, and I can't say I'm 100% at it. Those ants are sneaky. I don't always catch them right off the bat. But I've trained myself to pause and ask, wait, what's most important right now? And I usually also throw in, what would help my future self? Sometimes the answer might actually be the distraction, the ant. If there's a genuine safety issue or something that really needs immediate attention, then by all means deal with it. But more than not, the ant can wait. The perfectly organized desk can wait. The quick check online can wait. The need to have everything just right can wait. Because the people who matter most to us are Clara's. They're not usually bothered by the ants that we're obsessing over. They're there for us, not for our perfectly ant-free kitchens. Learning when to look the other way gets easier with practice. And again, it doesn't mean ignoring real problems or being lazy. It's just protecting your time and energy. It's choosing the bigger picture, like dinner with Clara, or staying in flow and finishing what you started. That kind of discernment might seem small, but it's powerful, because not letting those little ants hijack your focus can save you hours of time. Here are 4 ideas to try this week. Number 1, simply pay attention when something is a true distraction. We want to get to where we notice sooner and return to what we were doing faster. Number 2, set a timer for a block of time to get a task done. It's easier to ignore disrupting ants when you've given yourself a clear window to stay on task. Number 3, like I said earlier, ask yourself what's most important right now, and let that question gently guide you back. And also important, I am not counting family members as ants or distractions. Of course, if someone in your family needs something or a child needs you, or pay attention to that. That's the discernment of what can wait, what's most important, what do I need to get done right now. So healthy boundaries, you decide what's an ant and what's not. And number 4, if you catch yourself mid-ant chase, whether it's a physical distraction or those ANTs, automatic negative thoughts, literally say out loud, not today, ant. Sometimes we need to hear ourselves make the choice. All right, my friend, I hope that gives you something to think about. That's it for this week. I'd love it if you leave a review and if you share this with your friends. And remember, watch out for those ants. They can be sneaky. And I'll see you back here soon. Shine on.